Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where we explore the world of valuable coins and hidden treasures you may already own. Today, we're diving into a legendary coin that's become the stuff of collector dreams, the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1950. At first glance, it might just look like any other copper penny. But look a little closer, and you might find a small fortune hiding in plain sight. Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. For the first time ever, a real person appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this penny stayed in production with the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse side until 1958. Fast forward to 1950. It was a year of change and hope in America. The country was rebounding from World War II, and new inventions and ideas were shaping the modern world. Amid all this progress, the U.S. Mint was hard at work producing coins for everyday use. That year, Lincoln pennies were struck at three major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Now here's where it gets interesting. If you've ever held a Lincoln penny, you've probably noticed a small letter beneath the date. That's the mint mark. No letter means it was made in Philadelphia. A small D indicates Denver. And an S shows it was minted in San Francisco. Each mint had different production numbers, and these variations can mean big differences in rarity and value today. In 1950, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 270 million pennies. Denver struck an even higher number, more than 334 million. But the San Francisco Mint produced far fewer, making those coins harder to find in pristine condition today. But rarity isn't just about numbers. It's about quality. Most pennies from 1950 were used in everyday life. They were passed from hand to hand, lost in cars, dropped on sidewalks, and jumbled together in pockets. Over time, their shiny surfaces dulled, scratches appeared, and fine details wore away. So what makes a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny valuable? It starts with condition. Collectors seek out coins that are uncirculated, meaning they were never used and have retained their sharp detail and original luster. These coins are like time capsules, frozen in their original state. The better the condition, the more valuable the penny, but there's something else that can launch the value of a coin into the stratosphere: mint errors. That's right, mistakes. Sometimes, during the minting process, things don't go exactly as planned. A die might strike the coin twice, creating a doubled image. The planchet, the blank metal disc the coin is struck on, might be off-center. A mint mark could be punched in the wrong place or appear more than once. These small accidents make certain coins incredibly rare, and collectors will pay a premium for them. Now, let's say you found a 1950 wheat penny. How do you know if it's special? First, check the mint mark. An S or D could increase the value depending on its condition. Then, look closely at the details: Lincoln's hair, the lines on the wheat stalks, the clarity of the date and lettering. If everything looks crisp and the surface is free from major scratches or wear, you might be looking at a high-grade specimen. If you see anything unusual, like doubled numbers, misaligned features, or strange marks, don't ignore it. That could be a mint error, and it might turn a regular penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible. It's incredible to think that a coin so small could carry so much history. From its design to the year it was minted, the Lincoln Wheat Penny tells a story of America in transition. But for some, it tells a story of discovery and wealth, and now, the moment you've been waiting for. While most 1950 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are worth a few cents to a few dollars, a rare and flawless version with a verified error was once sold to a dedicated collector for an unbelievable amount. That 1-cent coin, just like the ones we overlook every day, was purchased for $85,000. Let that sink in. 1 penny. Worth $85,000. So before you toss that old jar of change or spend that copper coin without a second thought, take a moment to look. You might just be holding something that history, and collectors, have been waiting for. Today on the channel, we're diving into a coin that millions of people have seen and spent without thinking twice. But in the world of collectors, it's one that deserves a second look. We're talking about the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, this 1-cent coin might look ordinary. It's small, copper-colored, and simple in design. But the truth is, not all pennies are created equal. Some carry with them a legacy of craftsmanship, mystery, and surprising value. And the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those hidden gems. Let's rewind the clock for a moment. The year is 1951. America is in the middle of the 20th century boom. The post-World War II economy is thriving, families are moving into suburbs, and the first color televisions are entering homes. Coins, like the penny, were an essential part of everyday life, used for everything from buying a newspaper to paying for a soda at the corner store. And the U.S. Mint was busy keeping up with demand. In 1951, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced at 3 different mints across the country: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify which mint made a particular penny by checking the small letter just below the date. If there's no letter, it came from Philadelphia. A D means Denver. An S means San Francisco. Each mint struck millions of pennies that year. To be specific, Philadelphia produced over 284 million, Denver made nearly 626 million, and San Francisco turned out about 136 million. That's a whole lot of pennies. So why does the 1951 penny stand out? It all comes down to 3 key factors: mint mark, condition, and rarity. Let's start with condition. Most coins from the 1950s have seen serious circulation. They've been through pockets, purses, cash registers, and piggy banks. Over time, they get scratched, worn down, and lose that original shine. So when a coin from 1951 is found in nearly perfect condition, what collectors call mint state, it immediately becomes more valuable. The more pristine the coin, the more collectors want it. Then there's the mint mark. While the Denver Mint produced the most, San Francisco had the lowest numbers that year. This makes 1951's pennies a bit scarcer, especially in high grades. And collectors are always on the lookout for coins that are both rare and well preserved, but there's one more thing that turns an old coin into something extraordinary: mint errors. These are small mistakes that happen during the coin-making process. Sometimes a coin is struck off-center. Sometimes the design is doubled. Other times the metal blank has a flaw or the mint mark is punched incorrectly. These accidents are incredibly rare, and when they occur on a 1951 penny, they can send its value through the roof. Collectors prize these error coins because they are unique. No two are exactly alike. Imagine finding a penny with a double die, a coin where the date or lettering appears to be shadowed or slightly repeated. Or a coin with a repunched mint mark, where you can see traces of the original mint mark under the new one. These subtle differences can mean huge value, especially when paired with an uncirculated grade. You might be wondering, how do I know if I have a valuable 1951 penny? Start by looking at the date and the mint mark. Then examine the coin under good lighting. Look for any doubling in the numbers or letters. Is the design off-center? Are there unusual marks or defects? Next, check the condition. The best coins have strong details: Lincoln's hair, his coat, the wheat stalks on the back, all should be sharp and crisp. If your penny has that kind of definition, it could be worth much more than just 1 cent. It's incredible to think about, really. A coin that was once used to buy a stick of gum could now be a prized possession in a collector's showcase. That's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know which small object might hold a big surprise. And now, here's the part everyone's been waiting for: the value reveal. While most 1951 Lincoln Wheat pennies are worth only a few cents or a couple of dollars in average condition, there are rare exceptions. One such coin, in flawless mint state with a rare and authenticated minting error, was once sold for the astounding sum of $83,000. That's right. 1 penny. Worth $83,000. The next time you come across a jar of old change or receive pennies in your change at the store, take a second look. You could be holding a piece of American history, or even a hidden treasure. Today, we're talking about one of those hidden gems, one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny. It's small, copper-colored, and familiar. But this coin is far more than just pocket change. It's a piece of living history, a reminder of an era long past, and in some extraordinary cases, it's worth more than you could ever imagine. Let's step back into the early 1950s. The year was 1952. Harry S. Truman was President of the United States. The Korean War was raging overseas. The Cold War was heating up. Television sets were becoming the centerpiece of the American living room, and a gallon of gas cost just 20 cents. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing coins that would go on to become prized possessions for generations of collectors. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was already a familiar face by 1952. First issued in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, this was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Its designer, Victor David Brenner, gave us the timeless profile of Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse displayed two graceful stalks of wheat framing the words, 1 cent, a symbol of both American agriculture and strength. In 1952, the penny was minted in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint had its own production numbers, and each version of the coin carries a small but significant clue, the mint mark. If the space below the date is blank, it was minted in Philadelphia. A small d means it was struck in Denver, while an S stands for San Francisco. Here's a breakdown of the mintage. Philadelphia produced over 186 million coins, Denver, always a high-volume producer, struck more than 746 million. San Francisco, on the other hand, minted just under 137 million. But here's the twist. Even though millions were produced, most of these coins were used daily, for bus fares, candy, newspapers, and coffee. They passed through the hands of children, soldiers, factory workers, and businesspeople. Over the decades, they became worn, scratched, and dull. That's what makes finding one in perfect condition so rare, and so valuable. Now let's talk about what collectors are really looking for. First, condition. The condition of a coin is everything. A 1952 penny found in circulation today is likely to be worn and discolored. But a coin that was never used, a pristine, uncirculated penny with sharp details and a flawless finish, is a different story. Collectors pay close attention to every curve and contour, the texture of Lincoln's jacket, the grain in the wheat stalks, the crispness of the lettering. These small details make a big difference in value. Second, mint errors. These are the happy accidents of the coin world. Mistakes made during the minting process can lead to coins that are entirely unique. Maybe the coin was struck slightly off-center. Maybe the die was misaligned, causing double images. Maybe the mint mark was punched twice, or in the wrong spot. These rare defects can skyrocket a coin's worth, especially if combined with a high grade. Let's say you stumble upon a 1952 penny with a bold double die, where the letters or numbers look like they've been stamped twice. Or maybe the coin has a repunched mint mark, where you can see two impressions slightly overlapping. These rare features don't just make a coin more interesting. They make it far more valuable, but even without an error, a regular 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny in mint condition is still a desirable find. Collectors actively seek out coins that have been graded highly by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A grade of MS-65 or higher can turn a simple penny into a serious collectible, and don't forget about the sentimental value. This coin represents a different time in American life, a time of post-war optimism, of families buying their first homes, of a country dreaming big. Holding a 1952 wheat penny is like holding a tiny piece of that dream. So how do you know if your 1952 penny is special? Start by examining it closely. Does it have a mint mark? If so, is it clear and properly placed? Look for sharp details and a clean, smooth surface. Any signs of doubling or unusual markings? These are your first clues. And if it looks too good to be true, it might be time to have it professionally evaluated. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, while most 1952 Lincoln Wheat Pennies in circulated condition are worth just a few cents to a couple of dollars, there are rare examples, coins with exceptional condition and verified errors, that break all expectations. In one such remarkable case, a single 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny was sold to an eager collector for a jaw-dropping total of $81,000, yes. 1 cent worth $81,000. Before you dismiss that old penny at the bottom of your coin jar, take another look. What seems ordinary could turn out to be extraordinary. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of one such coin that's often overlooked but deeply treasured by collectors across the world, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin might look like just another penny to most people. Tossed in jars, lost between couch cushions, passed over in spare change. But if you're paying attention, and if luck is on your side, you just might discover a version of this coin that could change your life. Now let's go back for a moment to the year 1953. It was a time of classic cars and booming jukeboxes. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just taken office as President of the United States. The Korean War was winding down. Television was becoming a staple in households. And America, riding a wave of post-war optimism, was producing millions of coins for a growing economy, including, of course, the Lincoln Wheat Penny. By 1953, the Lincoln cent had already been a fixture in American pockets for over 4 decades. First introduced in 1909, this iconic penny was designed by Victor David Brenner to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first American coin to feature a real person, and it set a new standard for U.S. coin design. On the front, a sharp profile of Lincoln. On the back, 2 bold stalks of wheat surrounding the denomination, 1 cent. These wheat ears gave the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. But here's where things get interesting. For 1953 specifically, this year, the penny was minted in 3 different locations across the United States: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And each location produced coins with slight differences, ones that collectors are constantly hunting for. You can tell where a penny was minted by looking for a tiny mint mark under the date. If there's no letter, it was made in Philadelphia. A small d means it came from Denver. An S marks San Francisco. Each mint had a different production volume that year. Denver produced the most, over 700 million pennies. Philadelphia followed with more than 256 million. San Francisco came in last, with just about 181 million coins struck. Now, you may be thinking, hundreds of millions of pennies? How can a coin like that be valuable? Well, the answer lies in rarity, condition, and those beautiful minting mistakes. Let's talk condition first. Most 1953 pennies were used, and used again. They rattled around in lunch counters, bought sodas and newspapers, helped kids buy candy, and passed through generations of hands. So, when a 1953 penny is found in mint state condition, with its sharp details, original shine, and no signs of wear, that coin becomes a lot more than just 1 cent. It becomes a time capsule. Collectors love these uncirculated coins, especially when graded by professional services. Grades like MS-65 or MS-67 represent coins in nearly perfect condition, and their value can skyrocket compared to a worn-out penny. Then there's the real treasure, error coins. These are coins that were accidentally misstruck at the mint. They're rare, fascinating, and highly sought after. In 1953, a number of wheat pennies were produced with oddities like double dies, where parts of the design, like the date or lettering, appeared doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. There were also off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't aligned properly in the press, and repunched mint marks, where the mint mark was stamped twice, slightly off. Now imagine this, a 1953 wheat penny with a clean, dramatic double die and an MS-67 grade. That's not just a coin, it's a collector's dream, and here's the best part, even coins without visible errors can carry surprising value if their condition is exceptional. Combine that with the right mint mark, especially the S or sometimes the less common, high-grade D, and you could be holding something extraordinary. So, if you're going through an old collection, checking a relative's keepsakes, or even just sorting through pocket change, pay attention to those old copper coins. Check the year. Look for that 1953. Inspect the mint mark. Examine the details. A strong image of Lincoln, clear lettering, deep color, and unusual features, those are all signs you might be looking at something rare. You might be wondering, how much could one of these coins really be worth? Well, while most 1953 pennies in circulated condition are worth just a few cents or maybe a couple of dollars to hobbyists, there are rare examples that have reached astonishing value, especially those with verified minting errors and pristine condition. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. A single 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, in perfect mint state condition, combined with a rare and dramatic mint error, was once sold to a collector for an incredible price. That tiny 1-cent coin, often ignored by millions, ended up being worth a total of $80,000, yes, that's right. One copper penny. Worth $80,000. So the next time you're sorting through loose change or thumbing through an old coin collection, remember, value isn't always about what something is. Sometimes it's about what it could be. Today, we're shining the spotlight on a small but powerful piece of American history, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. You might think of it as just another copper coin, something that once bought a piece of candy or a ride on a city bus. But for collectors, and for those who know where to look, this coin represents far more than just 1 cent. It holds a story, a legacy, and potentially, a life-changing value. So what makes the 1954 penny so interesting? To understand that, we have to go back to the world of mid-century America. It was 1954, Elvis Presley was just getting started, the average house cost around $10,000, and the nation was deep in the post-war boom. Television was exploding in popularity, cars had fins, and life seemed full of promise. In the middle of all this, millions of Lincoln Wheat Pennies were rolling off the presses at U.S. Mint facilities. The wheat penny itself had already become an American staple. First introduced in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The front shows Lincoln's dignified profile, while the reverse features 2 stylized wheat stalks curving along the sides, a tribute to America's agricultural strength and tradition. It remained in circulation until 1958, but coins from certain years, like 1954, carry a particular fascination. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced these pennies in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify where yours came from by checking just below the date on the coin's obverse. If there's no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. A small d indicates Denver. And an S stands for San Francisco. Here's the breakdown. Philadelphia struck over 71 million pennies that year, Denver produced a whopping 251 million. San Francisco, however, was nearing the end of its penny production and only created around a 42 million. Now, that may still sound like a lot, but here's the catch, very few of those coins survived in high quality. Most were spent, handled, and worn down over time. The majority are now found in circulated condition with scratches, fading detail, and years of pocket wear. That's where things start getting interesting. You see, collectors aren't just looking for any old 1954 penny. They're after the sharpest, cleanest examples, the ones that have been perfectly preserved over time. These are known as uncirculated or mint state coins, and they're graded based on their condition. A coin that shows no signs of wear, with full luster and bold details, might receive a grade of MS 65 or higher. That's where the value starts to rise, but there's another twist. It's not just about condition, it's also about mistakes. Yes, you heard that right. Mistakes made during the minting process, called mint errors, can turn an ordinary penny into a one-of-a-kind rarity. And the 1954 wheat penny has had its share of fascinating errors. Some coins from that year were struck with double dies, where the lettering or numbers appear slightly duplicated. Others have off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't aligned properly in the press. And then there are repunched mint marks, where the D or S was stamped more than once, creating a shadow-like effect. These errors are rare, and collectors absolutely love them because each one is unique, imagine finding a 1954 penny with a dramatic double die or a bold repunched mint mark. Combine that with flawless condition, and suddenly you're not just holding a coin. You're holding something extraordinary. So how do you know if your 1954 penny might be valuable? Start by examining the coin closely under good lighting. Look for clean, sharp features, Lincoln's hair, the fine lines in the wheat stalks, the clarity of the date. If the coin still has its original reddish luster, that's a good sign. Then look for anything unusual. Are the numbers doubled? Does the mint mark look off? Is the coin oddly shaped or misaligned? These small signs could indicate a rare error, and a much higher value, and remember, it's not always about what the coin looks like at first glance. Sometimes, even a dirty or dull-looking penny can turn out to be something incredible once it's cleaned and authenticated by a professional. That's why it's always worth a second look. Now, let's talk value. Most 1954 pennies you'll find in circulation are only worth a few cents, maybe a few dollars if they're in decent shape. But certain rare examples, those in near-perfect mint state with authentic, dramatic errors, have sold for prices that most people would never expect from a simple copper coin, and here's where it gets truly exciting. One such coin, a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, graded at a superb level, paired with a remarkable error and preserved in pristine condition, was sold at auction for an astounding total of $78,000. That's right. One single penny. Worth $78,000. So the next time you're sorting through an old collection, rolling coins, or checking your change at the grocery store, keep your eyes open. The treasure you're looking for might already be in your hands. Today, we're going to talk about one such coin. It's a little piece of American history that might be hiding in a forgotten coin jar or an old family box. This is the story of the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, one of the most talked about, mysterious, and potentially valuable 1-cent coins ever minted in the United States. When you first see it, it's nothing flashy. Just a copper coin with Lincoln's familiar profile on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back. But beneath its humble appearance is a fascinating blend of history, minting mishaps, and collector passion that makes this coin truly extraordinary. Let's rewind to the mid-1950s. The year is 1955. Dwight D. Eisenhower is in the White House. Rock and roll is exploding across the country, led by a young Elvis Presley. Cars are big, televisions are bigger, and Americans are riding the wave of post-war prosperity. But while the world was moving fast, something quietly powerful was being produced at the U.S. Mint, millions of Lincoln Wheat Pennies, including one of the most famous error coins in American history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already been in circulation for nearly half a century. First minted in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was America's first coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the penny quickly became an iconic part of American life. And by 1955, it was still going strong, used in gumball machines, school cafeterias, gas stations, and mom-and-pop shops all across the country. In 1955, pennies were struck at 2 major mints, Philadelphia and Denver. Philadelphia coins don't have a mint mark, while those made in Denver carry a small D under the date. Philadelphia produced just over 330 million pennies that year. Denver, meanwhile, made over 563 million. But among these hundreds of millions, a tiny handful would go on to become legends. You see, 1955 is a famous year for one major reason: the double die error. This is one of the most famous coin errors in U.S. history, and it happened in Philadelphia. During the minting process, the coin die, used to stamp the design into each penny, shifted slightly, causing a double image to be imprinted on the coin. The result? A Lincoln penny where the date and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear to be doubled, almost like a shadow behind the letters. At first, the mint didn't catch the mistake. But before they could correct the error, tens of thousands of these flawed coins were released into circulation. They quickly made their way into the hands of the public, and into the spotlight. Collectors went wild. The 1955 double die penny became one of the most sought-after coins in American history, and it remains so to this day. Now, it's not just the double die that makes 1955 pennies valuable. Many collectors also look for clean, sharp examples of any 1955 penny, especially those in mint state condition. Over the decades, most pennies were handled and worn down, tossed into drawers or spent without a second thought. But a coin that was never circulated, one that retains its original luster and shows no signs of wear? That's a treasure in itself. Add in the possibility of rare minting errors, like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks, and the value can rise significantly. These flaws, though unintentional, make the coin unique. They're rare, they're eye-catching, and they're incredibly appealing to serious collectors. So how can you tell if your 1955 penny is special? Start with a close look. If the coin has strong details, Lincoln's coat lines are crisp, the wheat stalks on the reverse are well defined, and the coin has a rich copper glow, it may be in mint state. That's a great start. Then check for errors. Is the date or lettering doubled? Is the mint mark cleanly struck or possibly repunched? Is the coin slightly misaligned? Even subtle anomalies can make a huge difference. Now here's something to keep in mind: most people never notice the tiny variations on their coins. But seasoned collectors, and those with a sharp eye, know that even a 1-cent piece can be a goldmine, if it checks the right boxes. As always, it's smart to have a promising coin graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade boosts the coin's credibility and value and can even increase interest from top-tier collectors and auction houses. And now, we come to the part you've been waiting for: the value. Most 1955 pennies in average condition are still worth only a few cents. Even circulated double-die versions can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But when the coin is flawless, when it's graded at the highest mint state levels and carries a striking, authentic error, the numbers change dramatically. In one remarkable case, a rare 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, in mint condition with a bold and clear double die, was sold for an eye-opening total of $76,000. Yes, you heard that right. One small, copper penny. Worth $76,000. So if you've got an old coin jar collecting dust, or you inherited a box of coins from a grandparent, now's the time to take a closer look. That little Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1955 just might be the treasure you didn't know you had. Today, we're exploring the story of a small but powerful piece of American coinage, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It's one of those coins you might overlook at first glance. After all, it's a penny, small, copper, and seemingly common. But if you take a closer look, you'll realize there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Let's turn back the clock to 1957. The United States was booming. Post-war prosperity filled the air. Elvis Presley was king of the charts. Sputnik was launched, igniting the space race. American families were buying homes, cars, and televisions in record numbers. And all the while, millions of pennies were quietly flowing out of the U.S. Mint, destined for cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks across the country. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, first introduced in 1909, was still the workhorse of American currency. Designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it was the first coin in U.S. history to feature a real person. The obverse displays a profile of Lincoln, dignified and timeless. On the reverse, two simple wheat ears framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. A clean, symbolic tribute to America's agricultural roots and strength. In 1957, the penny was minted at two locations, Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell the difference by checking the small space just below the date. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. If there's a tiny D, it was minted in Denver. Philadelphia struck around 282 million pennies that year. Denver? Over a billion. That's right, more than a billion. 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Pennies entered circulation. With numbers that large, you'd think these coins would be worthless today. And yes, many are still only worth face value. But here's where things get interesting: not all pennies are created equal. While millions were used, spent, and worn down over the decades, a select few were preserved, untouched, flawless, and perfect. These are the coins that collectors dream about. Coins that were never handled, that still shimmer with the original mint luster, that retain every sharp detail from the day they were struck. Collectors refer to these as mint state coins. And when a 1957 penny is found in mint state condition, especially with a high grade like MS 65 or higher, it becomes far more valuable than you'd ever expect from a single cent. But it doesn't stop there. There's another factor that can make a 1957 penny truly legendary: errors. Yes, minting mistakes. As strange as it sounds, a flaw in the production process can send a coin's value skyrocketing. In 1957, some pennies were struck with noticeable mint errors. These include double dies, where the lettering or date appears to be stamped twice, creating a ghost-like image. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is shifted, leaving part of the coin blank. Then there are repunched mint marks, where the D was struck more than once in slightly different positions. These errors are incredibly rare, and highly prized. They turn a simple coin into a collectible masterpiece, especially when combined with a high-grade condition. Collectors all over the world seek these special variations, and they're willing to pay top dollar for them. Now you may be wondering, how do you tell if you have one? Start by inspecting the coin under good lighting. Look for any doubling in the letters or numbers. Check if the design is centered. Examine the mint mark carefully. Then look at the overall condition. Does it still have that original copper sheen? Are the wheat stalks on the reverse sharp and defined? Can you see the fine details in Lincoln's hair and coat? These signs could mean you're holding something truly rare. If your 1957 penny stands out from the rest, it's a good idea to get it professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC can certify your coin's grade and confirm any errors, which not only boosts its value but also its credibility to buyers and collectors. And while the average 1957 penny may be worth just a few cents to a few dollars, a mint state example with a dramatic and verified error can be worth exponentially more. And I do mean exponentially. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for. Among the millions of 1957 Lincoln Wheat pennies out there, one particular coin stood out. It was in nearly flawless condition, gleaming with rich copper color, razor-sharp details, and containing a rare and obvious minting error that made it totally unique. That single penny, originally worth just 1 cent, was eventually sold at auction for an astonishing total of $74,000. Yes, a penny worth $74,000. So the next time you see a wheat penny in your change, or stumble across an old coin collection, don't dismiss it. Look carefully. What seems common could actually be rare. What looks like spare change could, in the right condition, be life-changing. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history, mystery, and the magic of coin collecting. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a hidden treasure. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare or valuable coin. We'd love to hear your story.